it's Friday again and I'm back drinking by my shelf. This is going to be my last drinking by my shelf for a little while because I'm about to go away for 2 weeks to the States. So before I go away, I wanted to make a little video about something I've been thinking about for a while. Now, a few weeks ago I made a video about Zoella's Book Club, where I talked about how fantastic I think it is as a concept, but that I didn't think the books selected were that great. Some of them were fantastic books in their own right, but as a whole it didn't feel like a very diverse or inclusive list. So ever since then I've been thinking, what 8 books could Zoella pick for her next book club that would be better? And I've come up with some suggestions of my own. With Zoella's current book club picks, she has a very obvious theme of mental health. So I started by following on with that theme, and one book I recently read is More Happy Than Not by Silvera. Now this book is absolutely fantastic. As well as exploring themes of depression and suicidal thoughts, the main character in this book is also exploring his sexuality, and him coming to terms with his sexuality is very linked to his own mental health, which is one of the reasons I think this is so great to recommend to teenagers who might be going through something similar. Next, I looked into another theme that I noticed in the books Zoella picked, which is love stories. 7 out of the 8 books that Zoella picked were romances, so she obviously really liked recommending those, but I thought I could look up a few love stories that maybe slightly push the boat out a little bit. And the one that I was really drawn to, because I've been wanting to read it for ages, was The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee. Ahdieh. It's loosely based on the 1001 Nights story, but it's supposedly a really feminist retelling, so I thought that would be great to include. But there's loads of other really great love stories you could look at. Some other suggestions I had, one option could be Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. I'll Give You the Sun would be a good pick, because the current list was sadly lacking any LGBTQIA+ love stories. Or Great by Sarah Benincasa, which is a Great Gatsby retelling, but it's gender swapped so that it's all female. I haven't read any of those yet, and they're all on my list of books that I desperately want to read, but for my selection I picked the one that I've wanted to read for ages, which was The Wrath and the Dawn. I'm just really excited to read this one. A third book that I really wanted to include is From the Notebooks of Melanin, and it's about a young boy coming to terms with his mother's sexuality, which I thought was another really great angle to explore. And Jacqueline Woodson is just so great, she definitely needs to be included in any YA recommendation list. One of my main complaints with the current Zoella Book Club selection is that a lot of the books, as many YA books are, seemed very stuck in rigid definitions of gender and sex, so I wanted to look at books with transgender protagonists. The one I settled on is For Today I Am a Boy by Kim Fu. The protagonist, who is assigned male at birth, comes from a Chinese immigrant family who are very wrapped up in the idea of Western masculinity that they want to bestow on their son, and that cultural layer sounded really fascinating to me, and it's something I really wanted to explore. So that one's my pick. One book I've heard great things about and really want to read is None of the Above by I.W. Gregorio. This one is about the homecoming queen who decides that she's ready to lose her virginity to her boyfriend, but when things don't go as planned, she goes to the doctor and discovers that she is in fact intersex. So I really wanted to pick this one specifically to challenge the strange obsession with virginity and exactly what that means that a lot of the books in the current selection seem to share. The next book that I just had to include in my lineup is Only Ever Yours by Louise. Now this is absolutely a book that I think all teenagers should read. I think adults should be reading it as well. It's a kind of updated The Handmaid's Tale. It's set in a dystopian world where girls are raised either to be concubines, companions or chastities, and it seems like a whole new world, but as you read it you start to realise that the parallels with our existing world are a lot stronger than you would think, which is rather frightening, but it's a real eye-opener. Now for my 7th book, I also chose another Louise book because I just think she's fantastic. Asking for It is the story of the imperfect, in inverted commas, rape victim, and really challenges the idea that anyone is ever asking for it. This is a harrowing book, I warn you, but it really shines a light on how terribly we treat rape victims, how easily we can dismiss it as their fault. Even if you have never thought these things, I still recommend reading it because it's worth seeing how strongly that message is sent through the rest of society and how that's something we really need to change. I know putting 2 books by the same author is a little bit cheating, so some other similar books are really great. All the Rage by Courtney Summers, that's absolutely fantastic. That's set a year after a rape and deals with the repercussions of it later, which again is really gritty and sad. I haven't read Maybe I Will by Laurie Gray. That one sounded interesting because you never find out the gender identity of the rape survivor, so that raises some interesting questions. Or another book that I'm definitely going to include on my TBR list a little later is Point by Brandy Colbert. Okay, and then finally, for fun, because Zoella included a fun magic adventure in her list, Akata Witch by Nnedi Okorafor. It's about a girl who doesn't feel like she fits in anywhere. She lives in Nigeria but was born in New York. She looks West African except for the fact that she's albino, and she's so sensitive to the sun that she can't play outdoors during the day, even though she's a terrific football player. But soon she discovers that she has magical abilities, and the story goes from there.